Ah, oh boy, I got this all wrong. Oh man, oh my goodness, I tell you, Saturn is so unforgiving. My whole thing broke, my whole webcam broke. So I put it together, and I just realized that I put it backwards. Yeah. Well, what can you do? This is all due to spell work. Uh, you just, this is like residue of it. It's part of this is Saturn now. This is Saturn. I guess you guys are used to it. Uh, I won't blame you for not. I mean, I've had to deal with this my whole life, and like I tell you, it never gets tired. So guys, give me a minute. We had an issue with YouTube where there was a malfunction on the stream, and of course, they never know what it is. I think it's an inside job always. I always know, bro. One thing that obstacles and adversity teaches you, it really does make you stronger. It does make you resilient. It does make you resourceful. Well, it forces you to become resourceful and develop other alternatives in remedying the situation. Uh, all these are distractions. They're minor, but if you suffer enough of them, it can discourage you and cause you to give up. That's the aim. Well, they don't realize that I was built for this. Uh, and of course, I got to accept the fact, the harsh and unsavory fact that I chose this. I signed up for this. We don't remember when we crossed the sea of forgetfulness and come into matter. We forget the mission that we signed up to do. And maybe that's a good thing. Because if we remember what we're supposed to do and then realize the gravity of how hard it can be or challenging or painfully or painful it can be, I think we would elect not to do the mission. Jesus comes to mind when he said, God, take this cup from me. A lot of people don't realize that Jesus did not want to go to the cross. He didn't want to die. But he said, I do what my Father's will is. And the same thing with all the great leaders and prophets of the ages and the great sages. You know, we choose to uh, we choose the mission. We sign up for it on a soul level, but we don't remember it. We don't remember it. Yeah, I had to do some mirror magic and return to sender. It's so crazy. But, this is, the life of a shaman. We deal with evil and evil people and evil sorcerers, magicians that try to take people like us out. It's still happening. They're still doing death spells. They're still doing chaos spells and computer technology spells so things can break apart, not work, all those things. And of course, like I told you, it's two major currents, like almost 70 people against one. When I say one, I'm talking about the creator, since I'm aligned with the creator and all the higher angels. And it's so sad because many of these covens are destroyed, have become destroyed, have gone into bankruptcy for all the money that they spend trying to take people like us out, not realizing that they're fighting the creator. They're not fighting us. We're the face of the creator as high priests and shamans and hierophants and emperors and empresses. And you can tell that these warlocks or so-called magicians are quite novices because they don't understand spiritual law and they attack the wrong people. And then they fuck up. And then when God destroys these covens, they get mad. They think that I did it. You attacking me, you try to kill me, and yeah, you blame me because you couldn't kill me and get your way. Yeah, you've been killing people, raping people, child trafficking, doing pornography tapes with people who are passed out or drugged and they're assaulted, and they sell these tapes on the internet, on the dark web. They set people up, they kidnap people. They do all these things, these people. Oh my God, this is going down. This is going down. Oh, gee. Oh, gee. Well, back to the drawing board. Back to the drawing board. The only thing I can do is manage it. And now you guys get to see what I go through daily, sometimes to the point where it gets late and I can't continue to do the stream or come back. A lot of you guys ask me, well, how come he left and he said he was going to come back and didn't come back? Because of this. That's why. And my cat Simon is acting all crazy. He's acting all crazy. And it happens, because they can sense, these entities trying to cause disruptions and, distractions. You know, you really have to be a very strong person to handle this and these incongruencies that occur constantly. Constantly. Again, the aim is to wear you out, cause you to quit, cause you to give up. Well, they got the right one for sure. Yeah, it's inconvenient. I throw a rant every now and then, but then I get over it. I mean, in the end, what choice does one have? We just have to continue to manage it. So let me see if I can do one more adjustment to this webcam, because I can and buy a new one. And there's a storm going on. Is it upside down? Yes, it is. There's a major storm here in Houston. Oh God, and it's creepy too. It's a creepy type of weather. It's been like that now for a couple of days. But then again, in all fairness, we've had a horrible drought or heat wave. So that's why this thunderstorm was very welcoming. Oh, guys, give me one more minute. I know this is an inconvenience. Let me see if I can put it like this. And it's designed to be this difficult. It is. It's designed. These are tests that the universe puts you through to see if you're going to stay committed, dedicated, and also to develop the discipline and inner strength to endure. these types of incongruencies. A fellow shaman asked me the other day, Fernando, how you to do it over again? Will you choose to come back as a shaman? And I gave out a big sigh. Oh, I ran out of tape. Ain't that great? I mean, it just happens like that. And you are forced to kind of like be innovative, figure out another way. By the time you do, ooh, you become exhausted. When I feel that, I go, Alhamdulillah, and I make sure that I don't get too tired out. Because again, that's the aim, that's the goal of the witchcraft and the spells. Because they want to silence me, quiet me, don't want to hear the truth. They don't like the truth. They hate the truth. Especially this coven that's creating all of these injustices. But okay, not good. But the good thing is that God chose the right one. Because I will never tire. Because that's the goal. Now, now I took care of that. Now, the next hurdle. Let's see if the stream is properly working. I got 10 people here. And let me just put down. Let me type something here to see if. Because I see on the bucket, I see the chat not moving. So I'm assuming that it might be frozen like it was last night. But I just saw somebody do a thumbs up. Okay, so it is working now. Simon, can you calm it down, please? Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm going to know what is the difference between Scorpio moon and moon in the eighth house. Can't discuss that. That's a lot to say. That's a lot to say. That's a lot to say. Um, the house describes feels of situations. The moon in Scorpio is it's an emotional attitude when you're dealing with the sign. When it's in the house, it's dealing with external situations that are of an eighth house nature. Okay, yeah, that's the best way I can put it, and simplifying it. Thank you, Greg. You hear me? Chat is working. We're live in here. Okay, perfect. Just now, Scorpio Moon is deep in. Oh, yes. You should watch my Scorpio Moon video. All right. I was talking about the book of Ezekiel, and to give a quick review, I was talking about the content, the literature, the style it was written, who wrote it, how long ago, and I think I left off that with Israel being surrounded, and in the ancient times with all kinds of enemies, and the main town that is referenced in the Old Testament, like Babylon, Sumer, Damascus, Phoenicia, Carthage, you know, of course Israel, and a few others, all in the like in a grouping area, and most of the extraterrestrial sightings and documentations that are found in the Old Testament usually falls within these towns. Now, and when you see in the literature the description of these things coming down or revealing themselves to particular people, it's almost like they use the same language and they use the same adjective to describe what is being seen, and that makes sense because again, when you're dealing with a particular century or period and the language that reflects that period is very primitive, just like mankind was that time, the language is going to reflect that too. And that's how you can tell if something has been plagiarized or rewritten in a current century that doesn't match the writing or the style or the feel from the last century. That's how people can tell when documents have been tampered, right? One thing that I also mentioned about the Bible, like for example, if you have a book of Timothy, First Timothy or Second Timothy, and if you read that book or the book of Judges from beginning to end, you would think that it's one whole story that took place at a particular moment in time. No, some of these books in the Bible uh, discuss events that occurred centuries apart, centuries apart. And they are fused into one episode, giving the impression that it happened in that century, in that period, when actually excerpts have been compiled and put together to give a whole different narrative than what the actual events were, which could have been isolated events, that could have been, again, hundreds of years apart. And yet in the Bible, you can tell, like you could be reading chapter 1, right? And chapter 1 follows a chronology. Like in the book of Genesis, when Adam and Eve were thrown out of the garden, right? You get the impression that it's only two people in the entire planet, Adam and Eve. And then when they are thrown out of the garden, all of a sudden, other people appear. Cain, where the fuck did Cain come from? Abel, and all the other. And then emerges the subsequent tribes: the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Naphtali, the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Ezra, the tribe of Amos. Where did they come from? And this goes on like a whole trilogy in chapter 2. And in chapter 1, we're talking about Genesis, the beginning and everything. Then in chapter 2, we're already populated with humanity and culture and people. Like, well, how did we go from A to B? So the book of Genesis has centuries of stories fused into one. That's another reason why the Bible is so difficult to understand. Is that because, the scribes, the Pharisees of the early church compiled these stories that are centuries and hundreds of years apart into one episodic experience. And as the scholar, you have to decipher what is current that's relevant to what's being said in that period and what's not. And what is not may have been pulled from another source, from another century or another epoch or another time, fused into the same story. Now, like I mentioned, life repeats itself. So I guess the Pharisees and the clergy of the early church thought that it would not make any difference because it's all the same stories repeating themselves over and over again. So let us focus on giving people the central theme of life that they need to live and conduct themselves and learn to become human beings, and leave out all that other complicated stuff and phenomenon like UFOs and stuff like that, that people are not going to care about, not going to understand, and there's nothing useful that they can use with that knowledge. So the church decides to remove them or fuse them in a way that connects them to other stories. And now, before you know, you have a whole different narrative that could be or could not be true, but it fits and it tells its own lessons aside from the information that it can give separately. And so that seems to have been the agenda and the motivation of the early church to compile these books with all these stories and all these fascinating events, too fascinating for the average human being to fathom. So it seems like the church was trying to do humanity a favor by not complicating the simple mind back then, because humanity was more simpler then than it is now. And I guess to commensurate with that simplicity, the church felt the need to remove complicated verses and passages and books that describe other phenomena outside of the normal human experience. Taking a bath, taking a shower, cleaning, cooking, raising children, marrying, and then the stuff of love, hates, and all the other things that make us human. We have enough to deal with, let alone think about what's happening in the heavens and visitations. The church didn't feel that was important or necessary to distract early humanity with these fantastic stories. So it decided to remove them or modify them. The book of Ezekiel is one of those books. So I'm going to, and of course, I did the descriptions of what Ezekiel saw. I drew, I made illustrations of it to kind of give you a realistic, scientific, logical approach dissection of what actually was seen by Ezekiel, and also all the other um, personages and which were visited by these beings. The other question that you have to ask yourself is, who were these people that these beings approached? Why did they approach these people? Why didn't they go and approach Joe Schmo over here, or Larry Bird over here, or the woman here that takes a bath over at the pond and then cleans house? Because if you look at the all these stories and the visitations and God coming and talking to specific people in the Bible, you get to understand that uh, each and every one of these personages that have been visited or have seen vision of something of an extraterrestrial nature were not average human beings either. These were high priests. Don't forget, Ezekiel was a high priest. So was Abraham. So was Aaron. So was Jacob. Many of them. And it is these people, including Moses and Jonah, who refused to go to Assyria to convert the Assyrians because he was so mad at them. Because, like the Philistines, Assyria was a major enemy of Israel. And like Israel in the early ancient world was surrounded by many enemies, including Egypt. So, looking at the political atmosphere of the time and what was going on, because it must have been dire straits that caused these beings to come down and say, hey, look, you got to do this because this is going to change this is going to change that. It's almost like they were consummate politicians that came down and chose ambassadors, which are the high priests, to then approach the rulers of these lands and these cities to convert them or influence them in some way that can help advance humanity or a situation. Because then you have to look at what was the purpose for these beings to come here and approach certain beings and appoint them as high priests. And when these beings come, it's in the Bible, they talk about crystals and stones. Stones and crystals that we use today are referenced back in the ancient world. Now, like I said, nothing is new under the sun. All has been here before. The visitations are still happening to this very day. They are still talking to priests and high priests, which is us, the chosen ones of the light workers. We are the modern day high priests of the ancient world, because these beings are not talking to presidents and governments, and they never did then either. Only the elect were chosen to serve as ambassadors to these higher principles and principalities. This is something that the church did not want to see continue. It wanted to replace us and be the vessel to receive these messages from these beings to influence the political atmosphere, not just of the region, but of the entire planet. That's why the church went into a state of persecution and persecuting Christians or persecuting people like us, burning us at the stake, stoning to death. That was done so like that connection between us and the beings can be severed. And that way the church can go and take over and do what it wants to do, completely unsupervised and completely untamed of any higher ups looking and trying to micromanage what the church is doing. So understand that that is the battle between Shambhala and Agartha, and the battle still continues. No, so it's the occult and religion. Religion wants to get rid of people like us to break the connection with these beings so that it can run the planet and do whatever it wants, including all the injustices that we see that humanity engages in without any repercussion. Complete and absolute. As the church evolves and as politics and society evolves, collision between the church and state begins to occur, and that's how we have the 30 Years' War, the War of the Crusades, a battle until a meeting of the mind is reached in which the church remains a sovereign institution independent of government control, and the government is another sovereign institution that will respect the sovereignty of the church as long as both parties share in the same agenda. And that agenda is to control the masses. So the church is assigned to Christianize and convert humanity and cause humanity to have a belief system that is suitable, comfortable for government to control. That's how you have the marriage of the church and the state. The church will not, because the church has a lot of power. The church can turn government upside down through the faith of the people. Government knows this. So the government had to strike a deal with the church. Look, you don't have to pay taxes. You could do whatever you want, just as long as you keep the population docile and ignorant and give them just enough and make sure that you instill fear in them of God and fear of persecution and hell. That way they want to do the right thing and they follow the rules set by government. So now the church and the government are in cahoots in the same agenda to control the masses. They pass out legislations and laws stating that church and state are separate. That's for us to see so that we think that they're separate. But behind closed doors, they are still intermarried because they share in wanting to execute a specific agenda. And this is the reason behind these holy wars that have been going on, not just in Western countries, but in the Eastern countries as well. Because if you can control the masses and control their belief and mentality, then it's a much more easier takeover that doesn't have to include so much bloodshed to force people into submission. We want people to willingly submit to the powers. And to do that, you have to arrest their mind, limit their thinking, and curtail their possibilities of anything greater than themselves. They are to be taught that to be a best exemplary human being is to pay your taxes, follow government, and do what the church tells you. And that makes you a good citizen, a good person. You can go to heaven. Don't think beyond that. Don't explore beyond that. And that keeps the bloodshed down and a more submissive population of people that the government can control. So understand the political agenda that the church played, especially the early church, and to this very day with the Vatican. Now, what's interesting is that the Vatican now, whereas before, and I'm going way back to the early church in the 1st century, 2nd century, that extraterrestrials do not exist. And it was very adamant. Almost called it a sin to even contemplate such thoughts. No different than being a tarot reader, a heresy, or witchcraft, and being accused of that heresy. You went right into the fire as well. And the church succeeded in this for centuries. But we are moving out of the Piscean age of sorrow and limited mentality into the Aquarian age of enlightenment and advancement and of human evolution. And because the church did such a fantastic job in severing any possibility of a belief in an outside intelligence other than our own, because the church succeeded in doing that, and putting the population asleep to the possibility, these extraterrestrials flipped the script and now became more visible to the human population. You see more sightings. Let me tell you, a week ago, I was watching Fox News, and they were saying, and some senators, even the President Biden, they saw extraterrestrials hovering over certain parts of the United States, and they was caught on footage. I hope some of you saw it. It was on TV, and it was running the entire day. Fox News, and in other channels too, and I was seeing it. And it's V-shaped, like I told you in the video. They were V-shaped, blue, and it terrified people. It was in the news, and it was completely hushed up. But these beings came, usually when you see extraterrestrial sightings, it's in isolated places. You usually don't have people around, and then it's hard to believe that you saw something like that. Now they are becoming more visible to the population. It's like giving a slap in the face to the church for negating their existence to the population, because they know they exist, but they wanted to block that belief to the population so they don't connect to that. But yet the church has always known of these beings, always. And we know this because of that $4.5 billion telescope that sits at the Vatican that I always talk about. I went and I saw it myself. What the fuck do you have a telescope in the fucking church? What are you looking for? Since you're telling us that they don't exist, why you have that? And it wasn't until the Pope, the last Pope, before he retired, he actually stated, and this became national news. I saw it, where the church finally stated of the possibility of extraterrestrial life. They didn't confirm it. They were very careful in how they used their language. They were saying there is a possibility that extraterrestrial life exists. Fuck you. You've been knowing that shit. The reason why they have to not come forward and say it is because there are more sightings and people are becoming awakened, because this is an inevitable part of the evolution of humanity to experience our space brothers. Like I told you, mentioned you with my illustrations, there are trillions and trillions of stars, and we are one at the end of the arm of the Milky Way. And it's ridiculous for you to think that we're the only ones with all those stars. Of course, they're being there. Sooner or later, we are going to be visited and we are going to see it in this epoch, because they've been coming in other epochs, which is why the Bible records that, and other sacred texts. In this epoch, government, church try very hard to discredit that notion that these beings exist. But the church cannot continue to do that anymore. It's losing leverage in this area. Okay. Tell me. I hope it's not like a college lecture, but some things have to be explained in a linear fashion to take away the mystifying aspect of religion in the church, and and it's important, because then if it's not approach in this way, then no, you lose credibility. You lose credibility. There are many people that don't believe in UFOs, that don't believe in the spirit realm because they can't see it. There's no proof, which I think is such a hypocrisy because we have bacteria and viruses and we can't see them, but we know they're there. With oxygen, you can't see it, taste it, feel it, but it's there. Without that oxygen, we can't breathe and we die. So how could you not believe that other possibilities can be just as plausible as oxygen not being able to be seen or smelled and tasted, but yet is critical to our survival? See, so it forces you to think and open your mind and expand your mind. But this terrifies a lot of people, though. This terrifies a lot of people. Some people choose to remain ignorant because they're too frightened of the possibility. Because then once you accept that into your consciousness, you are now, I guess, burdened with the responsibility of doing something about it. And you know, the fact that we never had this type of experience as a human race in contacting and having direct contact with these people, we don't know what to do and what to expect. And there is no rule book, and the church has done nothing to prepare us for it, even though they've known all along. Okay, before we open the vote and begin to discuss the vision of Ezekiel, let me see who is here. And then when I'm done, we are going to continue with the Saturn in the sign series. I did up to Gemini. I will be doing Saturn in Cancer, Leo in Virgo, and then I'm going to do the new moon and full moon monthly readings. We're still under the auspices of the new moon in Virgo. You know, by tomorrow it begins to wax, moving into a full moon 2 weeks later in Pisces. All right, let me see who's here. Say hello, y'all. Oh yes, I'm in the breastplate. Yes, another high priest. That's right. And he was visited too. So it does. So it's not hard to believe that I've been contacted by these beings because I'm a high priest. No different than Aaron, no different than Joseph, no different than Habakkuk, no different than Moses. Nothing is new under the sun. It is still happening today like it did yesterday. All has been here before. All right. Let's see who's here. Sean Lex. How are you? Felix, pretty boy. How are you, Felix? Felix. Yeah, we have I gotta talk to you, Felix. I gotta talk to you. Peace be unto you. How are you? Good morning. Good, actually, good afternoon. Respect, Chatek. How are you? That boy, yes, sir. How are you? Thank you. Spirit reads. Essay and Son. Croaker Turtle. AC_77. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Who else? Who else? Mori Wajindu. How are you? And we got Hypnotist 232. Yes, okay. And who else we got? Anyone else? Okay. That's Sumeria, yes. Sumer. That's where the Anunnaki came. And they called them Anunnaki. The word Anunnaki means those that came from above. That's what the term Anunnaki means. Just in case you didn't know. It means those that came from above. So the language lets you know what happened, who they were. And he mentions, and if you look, if you go to some of the paintings in Europe, even in the history books, they got pictures of these beings that look like they have an eagle's beak face, and they're standing like this, and you see the wings, right, like this. It's the same description of Ezekiel and what he saw. The same. Except that he didn't call them Anunnaki. But they're the same. They are the same beings. And depending on where they land and who they connect to, that is the interpretation of the culture, and then they're given a name to describe the experience. Okay? Uh-huh. In tune deep tarot. Very good. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it went too quick. It went too quick. Celestial, deity, treasures. How are you? Divine message. Greeting. Bendición, gypsy goddess. Natalie Seji. Hello from Oklahoma. Love Oklahoma. I see I am. Thank you for the blessings. Fortune telling is seen as against the law and religion because it cuts. Religion serves as the middleman to God and spirituality to mankind. Tarot card readers and psychics and people like us are also middlemen, and the church wants to be the only middleman. It does not want others to act as middlemen. It debases the power of the church. That's why. It's political and economical. The church wants its tithes every Sunday, and it cannot get it if you're paying a reader to get some advice. That money then goes to the reader, not to the church. So it becomes a question of economics as well. The church wants to be the only middleman. That way it can collect that money. If you really break it down and look at it and its raw essentials, it's all about money and control. Hi, number one, JR, Madam Creole, the High Priestess. How are you? Welcome to the channel. Oops, went up again. Yes, I drink coffee on occasion. Much gratitude, OCG. How are you? Well, that boy's uncle. What's the difference between the archons that are here and the beings that are coming? No difference. They're the same archons, just different classifications and different gradients of them. Different roles. Again, think of the beehive. You got the queen bee, and you got the drone bee, and you got different other types of drone, and they have different names, and they all have specific functions, okay, to support the hive, right? If you look at nature, we have the same hierarchy. What you call nature spirits, they're not nature spirits. They're archons. Archons are not spirits, and they'll be the first to tell you that. The fairies, those are all archon entities. And they have, like the beehive, specific functions. Okay? The undines and sulfios govern matters of the air. The salamanders govern things of fire. The nymphs, mermaids, handle matters of the water. And the gnomes and trolls deal with earth. They take care of our trees, our flowers, our plants. It's like the beehive. They have different categories. Nature has 5 kingdoms. And each of these kingdoms are governed. The reason why these trees grow and blossom is because these beings make sure that they do. So the same concept and hierarchy that we have down here also exists above. As above, so below. Daxon Dash, welcome. Miss Lady, welcome. And for those who try reading, you have to look at the description box. It's all there for you. Uh-huh. Why did well you thought right? Did you think something different? That boy, yes, sir. You thought right. That didn't change. Are they part of the demiurge? The demiurge rules this solar system. I don't know the relationship between the demiurge and these beings. I do believe that in occult philosophy, each solar system is run by a different archon or a different deity or demiurge. And they usually do not allow other beings or archons from other systems to come here. Our solar system is protected from invasion of other beings of other systems by the demiurgic god Saturn or Jehovah, who protects the system, this system. Now, these other, but just because, well, it's like the United States. The United States has a hell of an army, air force, naval force, marine force to protect itself from invading countries. But that doesn't mean that we don't run the possibility of being invaded by other countries. It can still happen. Like China could be a threat. But we have the military capability to protect ourselves. It's no different of the demiurgic god ruling the solar system and the archons that belong to our system that are here to protect the life wave that has evolved in this system and protecting it from other life waves of other systems that we know nothing about. So the demiurge's job is to protect the life wave that has evolved in this system and not allow it to be interfered by the life wave of other systems. So I don't know if that answers your question, but the demiurge is here to protect the entire solar system from other invading um, rulerships. We, but can we be invaded by another solar system? Yes, we can. It has happened before. Like I said, read the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads, and it clearly shows you an intergalactic war between solar systems trying to conquer. Just like we conquer countries, solar systems can be conquered too. As above, so below. So it is absolutely a possibility, and it has happened in our in our solar system's history. It has happened. The thing is that in the Western culture, these truths are not revealed and are not exposed and they're not shown because doesn't suit the political interests of the Western culture to do so. But if you go to India and you read these sacred Sanskrit texts, so you have the privilege of learning the language to do so, or have an interpreter to do it, that will describe to you in gross detail these wars and battles and that involve our planets, Mars, Mercury, Pluto. We talk like we don't know much about them in the West, but if we look at other references from other cultures, there's a whole anthology of information about these planets and beings that we know nothing about, that is not endorsed in our Western culture. And that, again, is politically based. Star Wars. Thank you. Who said that? Habiba Jan. Star Wars. Thank you. Thank you. Star Wars is an example of an intergalactic battle between solar systems. Why do you think they made that movie? If it's in the imagination of man to create movies like this, then it's absolutely possible that this type of consciousness exists in the minds of other beings. Otherwise, where are we getting these ideas? Right? Star Wars is a very good example. But for me, it will be The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back is the third sequel to Star Wars. No, I think it's Star Wars, and then The Empire Strikes Back is the second one, right? That one, The Empire Strikes Back. Oh, that was a fascinating. Oh, everything was good. Even the music score by John Williams was a fantastic movie. It showed and expressed the battle that was going on. I mean, it was fascinating to see all the fighting and the choo 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 and fighting and all that you can read in the back of the Gita. It's there. The same thing. So it does. It has happened. Now, is that what's going to happen this time when these beings come back again? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that kind of dimensional intergalactic war. No. These beings are coming here to liberate humanity from the venomous oligarch of families. Again, the elite, 13 families that have taken over the planet and have done with it whatever the fuck they want, including us, and they are unchecked. No one has checks them. They have no one above to check them. That's why these beings are coming, to put these powerful oligarchs in check and restore a balance to humanity that has been off balance for a long time due to these great, powerful oligarchical families. Right? It's deep. Deep. And I love it. That's why I became an anthropologist, after I became an astrologer, because being an astrologer wasn't enough. You need to learn other disciplines to put the whole picture together, including religion and theology, And I had that training as well, since I was trained by seminarians when I was younger. So I had all the education and all the preliminaries to now put this all together and present a precise picture of what humanity has been through and what's been going on, and then how to fix it. But there is an anti-hero government or institution or secret societies, is all part of it, that are there to fight that, prevent that. And that's the battle between Shambhala and Agartha. Because, it's about domination, world domination. And they take the entire planet, and I'm talking about the ruling families. They control the resources, everything. So now humanity is under enslavement by these powerful oligarchs. And that's why these beings are coming, to restore balance. Questions? That's right, Madam Creole, the High Priestess. History will repeat itself always. Always. Chris, how are you, Chris? Welcome. Yes, Rick and Morty is right. It does exist. Camila W. How are you? Moody Priestess. How are you? Sean Letts. Dark Empress 81. What is Dark Empress 81 saying? Let me see. I have a book about the Intergalactic Federation, and I read a lot of Dolores Cannon books. She talks a lot about this type of stuff. Of course, because this is not new. This is not new. That's why I don't understand why people are trying to take me out and people like me out and stop on and silence us a lot. Like if we're bringing something that you've never heard before. No, I'm just bringing the bitch to you to remind you that it's been here. But the government and the church has done so much to distract humanity with all other kinds of shit that this falls into the background, into the depths of antiquity, and becomes lost knowledge. And that's why I'm here, to restore the lost knowledge. And it has upset many people. Oh well. No, but yeah, you need, for humanity to advance forward, we need to have a clear picture of who we were who we are and where we're going, and somehow connect all of this with the inter um, communication with other beings that are also here and been here for a long time. And I'm not talking because there are other beings here. The ones that are coming, we're gonna see in ships. But there have been many, many, many other beings coming here interdimensionally, traveling through, thought, you know what I'm saying? Or they have ethereal bodies different from our life wave that we cannot see. Only animals can see. So it's not that this is gonna be the first time. Then there has never been a first time since Adam and Eve or the Big Bang. So that notion, just the good and fooling humanity about that. No, nothing is new under the sun. What else, Felix? Lady, okay, Madam Creole. Felix, you have a question, so should we just stop participating in this matrix? You decide that for yourself. You answer that for yourself. Is that going to benefit you? Is that going to benefit humanity? You have to decide that for yourself. Because as far as I know, they're not here yet and life is still going on. And they're not going to come here to disrupt the system that's already in place. They're here to educate, advance, and liberate, not to put our system upside down, right side up. That's not going to help anybody. Uh, Chris, do extraterrestrials have their own zodiac signs? Yes, they do. That's a good question. They have their own tree of life, their own system of knowledge and evolution, just like ours. But we are different. Like, for example, we have the tree of life, the Kabbalah. They might have something else that is comparable for their evolution. This is comparable for our evolution. So yes, there are all these beings and solar systems have their own system of government, just like in countries here, right? As above, so below. We have a democratic system in the United States, but in other countries like Istanbul, or France, we have a republic, or we have fascist government, or totalitarian government, or communist government. As above, so below. So if we have that differentiation here, then it exists also up there. Again, always stick to the formula. As above, so below. If countries can invade other countries, then solar systems can invade other solar systems. And that's how things are plausible. And we got proof that it has happened. And if it has happened, then it will happen again. Because nothing is a one-time event. Life is a cycle, a circle, and it repeats itself in different levels and planes of evolution. Yes, Crocker Turtle is making things convenient, resulting in a less aware human that is suitable to be controlled by external forces, including government. Camilla, are the reptiles here on Earth also the same extraterrestrial you talk about? Now you think about that question. You think about that question. Think about what you're asking. Reptiles belong to our life wave. They're not extraterrestrials. You might be making reference to reptilians. They're extraterrestrials. And they are nothing like the reptiles that are here on Earth. Do I know any specifics? No. Have I dealt with reptilians before? Absolutely. And they are definitely beings that belong to a different life wave. And there are reptilians that belong to our life wave, and there are others that don't. And that has a lot to do with those that chose to come here, and those that were thrown here against their will. Oh no, don't be sorry. No, 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 but I understand that reptiles that they don't talk, they don't. They're animals. They're part of our kingdom. They're not. If they are, I don't know. That I don't know. I don't think so though, because it's a different life wave. Divine message. What we'll be seeing in the days to come, we don't know. Unless we get the download before, we don't know. Miss Lady, how did the families gain power? By intermarrying with higher archonic beings that gave them power and control. No, Sarah Woods, low vibrations will not go forth. It has been, and hopefully, when these beings come, it will stop and it will be brought to balance. Right, reptilians. Dracos. Yes, they are reptilians that come from the constellation of Draco, but also the Argo as well. And some even come from the constellation of Lyra. Fortune, good to see you, Fortune. Welcome. Sugar Candy, welcome. Tiamatians, JR. We also have insectoids. I've been to planets in my space travels where there's only insects, huge insects. Ew. Huge grasshopper, and they walk like this. Oh, it's terrifying. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to go here. But yes, there are planets where these beings exist. There was a movie done by Diesel way back, and I had mentioned it before. It's called Pitch Black. Y'all ever heard of it? Pitch Black by Diesel. Sugar Candy, from what I understand, on the download is 2024. Karina Aria, you saying that they show up to you in visions? They freak you out. I know they can look real ugly, don't they? Ooh, it's scary. Well, you have a gift, Karina, for them to approach you. Starship Troopers. That's right. AR with Denise Richards, who used to be Charlie Sheen's former wife. Yes, they are planning. Yes, that's very good. AR. Yes, they are. Why do you think they make these movies? Why would someone spend millions of dollars to make a ridiculous movie like that? Because people thought it was a ridiculous movie, a silly movie. But that movie cost close to $80 million or more. And it did not do that great in the box office, but that wasn't the point. They were showing you something. They were showing you something. So all these movies, space movies, and all these, types of horror movies of space and monsters, Alien, Alien, perfect example. Alien by Ridley Scott, Dan O'Bannon. The designer of the Alien, the one with the fingers and the tail, and also the actual adult alien, was designed by H.R. Giger. Look it up. H.R. Giger designed the alien. And he was interviewed by Fangoria magazine back in the 70s. You guys don't probably know what this is. The Fifth Element, Chris, is another one. Yes. Alien. The alien model was designed by H.R. Giger. And he mentioned in a interview by Fangoria magazine that he was tripping on acid, And he wanted a vision of a horrific monster that would terrify audiences. How can he come up with an alien that is horrific, terrifying, that will cause people to go, ah, the movie theaters? He said that. He did acid, and he said that he left his body and he was taken somewhere in the 80s where he saw the alien. So that alien in the movie, it's not fiction. It's real. He got, like I get downloads, he got downloads from it. And he was told specifically how to design it. When I watch Alien and I watch that alien, it does frighten me. It does. And I'm a grown-ass man. I ain't scared of no hitman. I ain't scared of no dark spells and voodoo. You gotta be a fucking great motherfucker to deal with the shit I had to deal with most of my life. But let me tell you, when I see that alien, even to this day at 54 fucking years old, I get chills and I actually get very terrified. I do. And I'm not talking about scared. I'm talking about terrified. I get tremble. I don't want to see those images because I know that it's real. It's real. These beings exist. Why not? If there are trillions and trillions and trillions of solar systems throughout the Milky Way galaxy, how could it not be possible that this image might exist, or at least it's similar to it somewhere? How could H.R. Giger, without that acid, come up with that kind of design with such details? It took 6 months to put it together. And he was right. When that movie came out, oh my goodness. I've heard people vomited, people passed out, people ran out of the movie theater. I heard all kinds of shit. I was too young. I was like about 8 years old, 9 years old, because it came out in 1979. But when I got older to see it, oh my God, it was terrible. At first, I thought it was a boring movie because, all the juicy good stuff happens at the end when the alien finally reaches adult and begins murdering the crew. But that was terrifying because they all knew they were going to die. They could not outsmart this alien. So we were scared. We were like, who's going to be next? And the way it was filmed, Ridley Scott, oh my God, he did such a fucking job. It was such a terrifying movie. The prospect of something like that coming here, oh Jesus. I get chills now thinking about it. But the movie Pitch Black by Diesel, going back to that, and that movie, they show a planetary system that when it reaches the proper alignment, it blocks the sun's light. And it does it for 7 years. And in those 7 years, these beings come from out of the ground and begin feeding. And they have these sounds. Woo, woo, woo. And it gave me chills. Because I know for a fact that those beings exist. And the directors and writers and the designers of this movie also tapped into other realms to find out information, So don't be fooled. These people who spend millions, even billions of dollars in these movies are trying to tell you something. You're not going to put a price that high for bullshit. Right? So this is really, 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 yeah, they shapeshift. I know, right? In space, no one can hear you scream. Absolutely. That was the telling you. You wanted to come in and watch the movie and see who was screaming. Right, Karina. They didn't listen to the woman, Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver. They didn't listen to her, and she was the only one that survived. Oh yeah, The Fly Within with Jeff Goldblum. That was a good one too. A wicked movie. Wicked. Oh my God, guys. It looks like I'm never going to get to my Ezekiel. It's an hour and 9 minutes. I cannot go over an hour. That's the contract. I have to finish here and go back and actually just jump in and just do the Ezekiel. Because I'm never going to get it done. Guys, please donate. please give 347-485-6258. That's Zelle or Cash App, which is Habakkuk, Habaku number 5K, for Cash App or PayPal. Finally, let me write it down. And you can do a reading or give a donation. It would be greatly appreciated. Let me put it down here. I'm writing it down for you guys. Okay. That's Cash App. Right. And now let me put Zelle, which is, oops. I'm moving to my new apartment on Thursday, guys. It has been decorated. Now I gotta sleep on the floor until I can buy furniture. 485-6258, and that's Zelle. And of course, PayPal, the link is the People's Astro. All right, guys, thank you so much. And I will come back to Ezekiel. All right, guys, I hope this resonates.